Hi, this is Zaya, and welcome to this introduction to mindfulness practice. So, mindfulness is all about being able to bring an observational, curious, and receptive mindset or attitude to a particular experience or to the present moment. And I'm going to be teaching specifically ways to be right here in your body. And this is really important because when we can be right here in our body, when we can tap into that, then we have access to our boundaries and our emotions and our preferences. And so it can be really empowering, but it does seem to take practice because out there, the outside world, the demands of other people, and all of that can be very distracting, consuming. It can feel very urgent. And while we might do an incredible job of tending to the out there, it's at the expense of letting our own experience weigh in and be felt and take up space in the out there-ness. So this mindfulness practice will be about building the muscle or building the capacity to be here also. So it's a quite simple practice. We use the breath as our object of focus and the sensations that accompany the breath. And we expect that our awareness will shift away from the breath to thoughts of the future or of the past, or we'll start to get very invested in judgments of ourselves in this present moment, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of ways where our system naturally moves away from any object of focus, but specifically the ones that are internal, because like I said at the beginning, it's hard to be here. So we're going to use the breath as our object of focus. We're going to expect that we're going to move away from the breath, and then we're going to practice noticing that we moved away and coming back. And the practice is really all about the return, that noticing and returning. And that's flexing the muscle, growing the capacity to be here. So one of the main reasons we can't be here is because either consciously or subconsciously, we don't totally feel settled about out here. Like it's not maybe safe to turn inward. And so I'm just going to have you look around the room and assess if there is space and if you are, safe enough to go inward. And if there's something that needs tending that's distracting you, go ahead and pause this little video and come back once it's been tended to. And otherwise, really let yourself know that anything else can wait and that you'll get to it in just a couple of minutes. Okay. And while we're tending to the out here, let's also tend to just that outer layer of muscular tension that builds up throughout the day. So just starting by stretching out through your neck and your shoulders and your spine, inviting movement here. And this doesn't have to look any particular way. We're just sort of unwinding some of the more superficial layers of tension. And as that starts to melt away, your breath might begin to deepen just naturally. You can let that be a call to your awareness to come towards the breath more explicitly. So let's all bring our awareness to the very tip of our nose and notice the sensation of the breath as you inhale, drawing up the upper lip into the nostrils and into the lungs. And as you exhale, coming out of the lungs and out of the nostrils across the upper lip. And just notice that flow. Notice the temperature difference as it comes in versus the temperature when it comes out. Notice the texture of the breath. against your skin. And as you start to pay attention in this way, your eyes might want to lower down and just sort of stare at something uninteresting. Or you might want to close your eyes altogether so that you become less distracted by the demands of the outer world, and you can really let your awareness wrap around this experience of the breath as it's showing up in your body right now. And so let's shift our awareness to the chest and ribs and belly. So as you inhale, notice that an expansion happens. And as you exhale, sort of settling back in, or just sort of a passive contraction happens. And if that's hard for you to feel from the inside of your experience, you can place your hands on your belly or your chest and feel how, as you inhale, there's a natural expansion underneath your hands. And as you exhale, your ribs, your belly, your chest all settle down and in. Now, as you pay attention to the pulsation of the breath in your body, you might also become aware of other surrounding associated experiences. So you might feel your heart beating. You might feel sort of energy moving in a way that feels like tingling, rushing. Sometimes this can kick up a little bit of anxiety to be this close to your experience, and sometimes it can bring out a lot of pleasure, feeling a sense of warmth and softening. So staying very close to your breathing, present moment experience, and observing the pulsation, the sensations, the emotions that rise and fall. And most likely your mind starts to create story around whatever you're noticing. And this can start to take you away from the breath. You might then begin to think about totally unrelated other things, or things that might be loosely related in the past or the future. So what I'm going to invite you to do is notice as you do that, and as best as you can, just use the noticing as like a very neutral alarm bell that tells you, oh, I've gone somewhere other than the immediate experience of my breath. It's time for me to return. And you can come back to the feeling at the tip of your nose, or the feeling of your lungs expanding and gathering back in your chest. In the next couple of minutes while we're here, I imagine you will move away from your breathing experience and have to return to it at least 30 times, if not 100. It's a constant practice of coming back. So as best as you can, stay focused on the return. Don't worry about being good at this, quote unquote. The success is in just noticing that you've become distracted and coming back. And I'll be quiet here now for a little bit of time so that you can practice flexing this muscle on your own. If you've started thinking about other things, gently come back to your breath. Allowing the sensations and the emotions to rise and fall along with the inhale and exhale. Remember, you can always move or look around the room if you feel preoccupied by your tension or by what might be happening out there. And then just come back to yourself, come back to your breath. We'll be here for about another minute. And let's take one more round of breath together. And if your eyes are closed, you can blink them open gradually. So you're letting the outer world come into the visual field slowly. And we'll all just attempt this moment of bridging our internal experience with our external experience. So taking in the space and feeling your breath at the same time. And if that isn't quite possible, just go ahead and be outward, letting your eyes and ears pick up on the external. And then maybe close your eyes or just turn inward and feel your breath. And do that a few times. And what we're really trying to invite here is making space for yourself in the world, right? So that you get to be included too. And for a while, as you learn to include yourself, you can just anchor to the breath. It's a great place to start. And as that skill becomes stronger, as that pathway towards yourself becomes clearer, then you can expand your what your awareness focuses on to be all kinds of things going on in your body and in your present moment experience. But the breath is a great place to start and a great place to come back to. All right, thank you. Have a good one.